Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
All right, we'll go on the record in State of Kansas versus Bailey, Michelle Cargile, case number 24 CR 61. Would counsel announce appearances, please?
May it please the court, this state appears by Jill Gillette, County Attorney.
Richard Paul on behalf of Ms. Cargile, who is present by Zoom at a separate location of the council.
All right, we are set today for a pretrial status announcements. Mr. Pa?
Yes, Judge, pursuant to plea negotiations, Ms. Cargile is going to plead to an amended count 1 battery against a law enforcement officer. That would be a Class A misdemeanor. She will no contest plead to count 2 unlawful possession of a controlled substance, that being methamphetamine. No contest to count 5 fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, level 9 person felony. Count 7, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, a Class B non-person misdemeanor. And count 11, reckless driving, an unclassified misdemeanor. In exchange for that successful plea, state will dismiss all counts, all other remaining counts. As it pertains to count 1, there's been an agreed restitution on the car of $2,500.
All right, so she's entering no contest pleas to amended count 1.
2,
Wait, count 1 is being amended to, is it still battery against a law enforcement officer, or is it just battery?
just battery against a law enforcement officer, Class A misdemeanor. Well, that'd be a person misdemeanor.
Okay, then she's pleading to 2 counts 2, 5, 7, and 11.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, and Ms. Gillette, that's your understanding of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
And Ms. Cargile, is that your understanding of the plea agreement that's been worked out?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I've got a number of questions I need to ask you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, could you state your name for the record?
Bailey Cargile,
And how old are you?
33,
And what is your highest level of education?
high school.
All right, is your plea being made freely and voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anybody made any threats or promises other than the plea agreement to get you to enter into this plea today?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had any trouble understanding any of the legal concepts you've been discussing with your attorney?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand that even though the prosecutor and your attorney may make certain recommendations to me as to sentencing and probation, that the court does not have to accept those recommendations, that those decisions are mine and mine alone?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you plead no contest, you surrender and waive certain legal rights you'd otherwise have if you chose to go to trial. Do you understand that you have a right to a speedy trial where your guilt or innocence would be determined by a jury, or if you chose to waive a jury, by a judge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand at trial you would have the right to confront the witnesses against you and have them cross-examined by your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand at trial you would have the right to subpoena witnesses who may have information favorable to you and call them to testify in your behalf?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand at trial it would be the burden of the state to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt on each element of the charges against you before you could be found guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the judge and the jury must presume you are innocent until the state proves otherwise, if ever, beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand if you are convicted at trial, you would have the right to ask the court for a new trial, and if denied, would have the right to appeal your conviction and your sentence to the appellate courts of Kansas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that on a no contest plea, you still have a right to appeal the sentence, but you may not be able to appeal the finding of guilt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that when you enter these pleas, you give up your right to present any defenses you may have had to these charges?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand you're giving up each one of these rights if you plead no contest?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to go over the possible penalties that can be imposed on each of these various offenses. Amended count one is a class A misdemeanor. That carries a maximum penalty of 12 months in the county jail and up to a $2,500 fine. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Count two is a level 5 drug felony. I'm holding up a sentencing grid. This is one for drug offenses in the state of Kansas. Can you see that?
A little bit.
Okay, have you seen one of these grids before?
I've looked at it.
Okay, well, let me go over it with you again. A level 5 drug felony is the least severe of the drug offenses. Depending on your prior criminal history, you could be sentenced from anywhere between 10 months and 42 months in prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you have 3 non-person felonies or less in your criminal history, it's presumed you'd be placed on probation. If you have 2-person felonies or more in your criminal history, it's presumed you'd be placed in prison. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Okay, you're hesitating.
yes. So what? Yes. I just want to make sure. My lawyer did talk to me about it.
Okay, I'm assuming he probably went over, asked you what criminal history you have, if any,
Yes.
and if you have what are classified as person felonies, if you have 2 or more of those, it's presumed you're going to be placed in prison. If not, you'll fall in one of these other categories, either the presumptive probation, or if you have 1-person felony or 1-person felony and 1 non-person felony in your criminal history, you'd fall in what's called a border box, which is presumptive prison. However, if the court finds that there's a treatment program available to you and you're amenable to treatment, the court would have the option to place you on probation rather than prison. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor. I have been participating in a treatment program since I got out down there.
Okay. There could also be special sentencing rules that apply if you were on felony bond, felony probation, or felony parole at the time that these offenses were committed. The court would have the option to place you in prison even if you'd otherwise fall in a presumptive probation box. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I wasn't in trouble at that time, like not on bond.
Okay. Also, if you have 2 or more prior felony drug convictions, that could make you presumptive prison in this case. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Count 5. That's fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer. That's a level 9-person felony, which that falls on a different grid. Can you see that? The grid I'm holding up now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, this is a grid, sentencing grid for non-drug offenses. And on a level 9 felony, your sentencing range is between 5 months and 17 months in prison. If you have 1-person and 1 non-person felonies on this grid, it's presumed you'd be placed on probation. Again, if you have 2-person felonies or more, it's presumed you'd be placed in prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the same special rules that I went over with you for count 2 apply to these remaining counts as well. The maximum fine, I don't think I went over the maximum fine. It's $100,000 for each of these first 2 felony offenses. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, count 7. That's a DUI, first offense. That's a class B non-person misdemeanor. That carries a maximum penalty of 6 months in jail and up to a $1,000 fine. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then count 11. That's reckless driving. That's an unclassified misdemeanor. That carries a maximum penalty of 30 days in jail and up to a $500 fine. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, these traffic offenses may have an impact on your driver's license that this court won't impose. However, the Kansas Department of Revenue, once they receive word of convictions, may take some action on your driver's license. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and the court on these very offenses has the option to run these counts concurrent with one another, which means if you have to do jail or prison time, you'd be serving all the sentences at the same time, or some or all of the cases counts could be run consecutive, which means they'd be run back to back to back. Do you understand that concept?
So if I did, it could be either way.
That would be in the court's discretion.
All right.
Do you need some additional time to visit with Mr. Paul before we move?
No, we discussed it. I just wasn't
Okay.
sure. But we talked about it.
Okay. If at any time that we're going over this, if you need some time to visit with your attorney privately, we can set that up for you. All right, Ms. Cargile, in addition to the possible sentence and fine, the court will order payment of court costs, and I may order you to pay restitution for any personal injury, property loss. If there was any drug sent to the KBI for testing, or if the KBI did any testing on the case, you may be ordered to pay back a fee to them for the cost of that testing. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that in addition to those fees, that if you're placed on probation, you'll be responsible for the cost of the probation program, and that you may be ordered to pay back your indigent attorney's fees?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you ever been adjudged mentally ill by a court?
No, Your Honor.
Have you ever had a guardianship or a conservatorship set up to handle your affairs?
No, Your Honor.
Are you presently under the influence of any intoxicating liquors or drugs?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had plenty of time to discuss this case with Mr. Pa?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you need any additional time to visit with him about the matters we've discussed?
No, Your Honor.
All right, keeping in mind the matters we have discussed, is it still your wish to plead no contest?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gillette, could you please provide a factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor. On March 1st of 2024, the defendant's vehicle and another vehicle were both traveling, one in front of the other in the passing lane instead of the non-passing lane on 400. Deputy Clinton Hansen was patrolling and noticed the vehicles not moving over to the non-passing lane. He went to pull both vehicles over. The pickup truck pulled over first, and Miss Cargile was directed to pull over. She then took off. She ended up turning on K Road, proceeding into Elk County. Deputy Hansen, formerly being an Elk County deputy, knew those roads well and were able to follow her. She ended up slamming on her brakes, causing him to hit that vehicle that she was in, causing an accident in which Deputy Hansen was driving the vehicle behind hers that she caused to have hit hers. She then fled from the vehicle, ran into the tree row. They launched a drone and were able to find her in the tree row. Upon a getting her, she admitted to having drugs in her system. They did a tow inventory to tow the immobilized vehicle and found numerous items of drug and drug paraphernalia in the vehicle. Her blood draw was positive for amphetamine and methamphetamine. The drugs in the vehicle were found, and she did have a positive KBI lab for methamphetamine. During the time that she was in the high-speed chase. She was driving recklessly, failing to signal and failing to stop, running from a marked patrol vehicle with lights and sirens. They believe that she was incapable of making proper driving decisions and driving while intoxicated, and her behavior of causing an accident, swerving onto roads, backing up on roads and changing directions, all resulted in reckless driving throughout, and the causing her vehicle to come into contact with Deputy Hanson's caused battery of a law enforcement officer. It was properly identified driving a patrol vehicle with lights and sirens.
Ms. Cargile?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I need you to remain
Sorry.
on screen.
Yeah.
And her blood draw, like I said, was positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gillette. Ms. Cargile, is it still your wish to plead no contest and accept conviction to these offenses?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I do find that you are alert and intelligent, that you understand the nature of the charges and appreciate the consequences of pleading no contest. I further find you understand the rights you're giving up by pleading no contest, and that the facts of the case would be sufficient for a finding of guilt. I further find your decision to plead no contest has been freely and voluntarily given. I will therefore find you guilty of amended count 1, battery against a law enforcement officer,
I will not give excuses.
person misdemeanor. Who's talking?
No one.
Find you guilty in count 2 of unlawful possession of a controlled substance, a level 5 drug felony. Find you guilty in count 5, fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, a level 9 person felony. Find you guilty of count 7, driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs, first offense, class B, non-person misdemeanor, and find you guilty of count 11, reckless driving, an unclassified misdemeanor. Ms. Gillette, is there an announcement regarding the remaining charges?
The state will dismiss the remaining charges, Your Honor.
The remaining charges are dismissed. I am going to order a pre-sentence investigation report. I'm going to set a sentencing date approximately 8 weeks out. Ms. Wheeler, you're here from Court Services. This February 27th, give your office time to get a PSI done.
It appears that date should be sufficient for our office, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pa, are you available for February 27th at 9 o'clock for sentencing? Actually, I want to do that at 10 o'clock that morning.
10 a.m.
Would that be by Zoom, Judge?
Yes,
February 27th at 10.
correct. All right, Ms. Cargile, write this date down, February 27th
Yes, Your Honor.
at 10 o'clock in the morning for
Thank
sentencing.
you.
Now, I'm going to order that you contact Court Services. Mr. Pa, can you provide her the phone number to call for that?
I can, I will.
All right, Ms. Cargile, you need to call Court Services this morning, and they will set up time to visit with you regarding your pre-sentence investigation report. I assume there'll be some assessments that will need to be done because of the drug component to this case. You need to make sure that you're following through and getting these assessments set up and completed. So Court Services has everything they need to provide a PSI to court and counsel prior to your sentencing hearing. Do you have any questions?
Not at this time, Your Honor. I'm writing down the number. What is it?
I'd send it to you, Bailey. It's in your email.
All right. Did you get my newest email that I sent
That's
you?
the one I reached it. Yep.
All right, thank
You'll be
you.
fine.
Okay, keep Mr. Pa advised at all times of your current address, phone number, email address, so he knows how to get in touch with you.
Thank you.
All right, council, is there anything else we need to address on the Cargyle case?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, we'll be in recess. Ms. Cargyle, you're excused. Be sure to call court services.
Thank you, Your Honor.